What do you mean it sucks?
This pepper beef is too damn spicy.
What are you talking about? This is good.
How's it going, guys? Pepper Beef Too Spicy here. Hope you guys are doing alright. Today I'm gonna look at some of the most wanted features, in my opinion, for Tekken 7. We all know that Tekken 7 is on the way, whether it comes out this year or maybe early next year. I'm expecting it to come out spring 2015, although it would be pretty great if it could come out this year. But at the same time, you would have to know that the earlier it comes out, the less polished it will be. So it's whether you want it earlier or you can just wait till it's fully polished. Either way, there are 10 give or so reasons, 10 give or so features that I would like to see in Tekken 7. These are all personal reasons, although they do obviously take into account the game itself and things that would help the game, be a more enjoyable experience. Right, so without further ado, let's get into it. So number 1 on the list is a better tutorial mode. Now, if you know anything about Tekken, you'd know that this game is pretty complex. It's pretty hard. You have Korean backdash, you have whiff punishing, you got frames, you got like 80 plus movement, 80 plus movelists, you got 3 kinds of throw breaks, you got crouching, you got highs and mids and lows, and you got lows, and you got knockdown lows, you can launch punishable. I mean, you can go on forever talking about how in-depth Tekken is. It's not a simple game, really. It seems simple, but it's not simple at all. It's a very complex game that many players are overwhelmed by when they start playing. In my opinion, one of the reasons why Tekken is not as popular as it could be is because the game is very intimidating to learn how to play. When you're mashing buttons, you don't really seem like you know how you play Tekken. It's a game that takes a lot out of someone's time to learn how to play, and usually, they don't have that time or they don't have the will to learn. So I feel that Namco could really help their player base and help introduce players into this series better if they created a very easy and usable and something easy to understand tutorial mode, something that would really get players to understand the game easily. Something that would get players to understand the game easier and get them right into the action where they can play, at least know how to play the game. Not to play at a decent level, because that still comes through experience, but you could at least get them started. I feel that Namco should do an official version and should not have to wait around for people like me, or Maximilian, or whoever, or Hurtbox, or Ares, or Living Level Up Your Game to start their own tutorials, because I feel not a lot of people are going to see them right away, and if you introduce an official tutorial mode, people are going to enjoy it, because learn the game. Simple as that. Tekken's hard, and better tutorial mode equals learning the game equals enjoying the game. Simple as that. Second on the list is I would like Namco to clean up a lot of characters' move lists. Now, there are people that are gonna find very obscure uses for every single move of a character's move list, but it's just there's a lot of clutter that could be cleaned up in character move lists. I feel that even Lei does not need all 190 of his moves. It's just something that, I think Namco could definitely clean up, make more useful moves, because as you see, characters like Lars, he is a new character, and Namco has learned what's useful and what's not useful, and Lars is a pretty compact character with not a lot of moves, and a lot of his moves are pretty darn good, because Namco understands how to make moves useful, etc. At least for the most part. I think Elisa is not so successful with that. But regardless, it would make the game easier to learn how to play and easier to play if Namco just cut down the move list to maybe everybody gets around 70 moves, depending on the character, of course. Like Lei, I still expect him to have around 100, at least 120 moves. And yes, that makes the game more special if you take the time to learn it and take the time to memorize all the moves. But I feel in the long run, it kind of just dissuades people from playing the game, because there's just so many things to memorize. There's so much work to be done, and a lot of people, the majority of people, will not want to have to do the work. So in my opinion, if Namco definitely cleaned up the move lists, they would definitely make the game easier and more accessible to everyone, and in the result, it would make it more open to the public, and therefore most people will play it. yeah, that's definitely how that would work out. Number 3 is, this is moving away from more mechanics, and let's talk about less theatrical and more martial arts centric characters. Now, Tekken, for a lot of people, is a really popular fighter and one of their favorites because Tekken is one of the few fighters in the fighting game genre to take up real-life martial arts and fighting styles and incorporate them as realistically as possible, for the most part, into a fighting game. That's what makes people love Tekken. Well, for the most part, you know, some people like Tekken for different reasons. But, I mean, you have a character like Law, who practices Jeet Kune Do, or follows Jeet Kune Do, depending if you consider Jeet Kune Do a philosophy or a martial art. And then you've got, you know, Bruce, who is a Muay Thai boxer, and you've got Paul, who uses Judo, and Nina uses Aikido, and the Mishimas use Karate. Like, stuff like that, people really enjoy it. But lately, as Tekken has gone on, you've noticed that in Tekken 6, there was kind of less of that. Bob, they say he uses freestyle karate, but his fighting style is more theatrical, more outlandish, because, well, he's fat, and he's super fast. And he uses his fatness as part of his fighting style, which is more like, you know, moving away from the realism-ish. Of course, you don't want a game to be super realistic, but I'm just saying. And then, I think Miguel is Street Fighter, which I guess kind of makes sense. But then Elisa and Lars are definitely both characters that are completely, wow, this is not fighting at all. This is just craziness. And I'm not saying you don't have to have that, because you can definitely have that in your game, that's fine. But I would like to see Namco focus more on characters who have a very, you know, realistic fighting style. I think that would really attract a lot of players, because that's what people like to see in the game. Leo was the only character, I believe, that came out in Tekken 6 that had a real fighting style that was, anyways, close enough to being realistic. On number 4, I've got to say, less damage. Like, damn, man, the damage in Tekken Tag 2 was insane. You lose like 80-70% off a really good, off a good punish. Like, damn, the game is so punishing. Tekken Tag 2, but I mean, you have 2 characters, but not, you know, you don't get to use them all the time. And so I would like to see, I mean, the thing is here, is that this might be something that might be automatically included with Tekken 7 just by default, because you have to note that, you know, the crazy damage in Tekken Tag 2 was a result of the tag mechanic, and obviously in Tekken 7 they're going to remove that because they're going back to the mainstream series, which is just, you know, solo characters. So this may just be in the game, but definitely less damage, because the damage in Tekken Tag 2 was ridiculous. Number 5, better defined walls. This has been an issue with me, and I'm sure a lot of players in the Tekken community, is that the walls in Tekken Tag 2 are weird. They seem really bouncy. I don't know how to describe it. It's kind of like the walls. You get a side wall splat. Sometimes you get like a front wall splat. Sometimes you get like a off-axis wall splat, and they just keep, you know, resplatting or whatever. Like, the walls are they're not well defined in Tekken Tag 2, which makes some combos mess up, and it just makes things, you know, not work out as well as they could be. So I would like to see in Tekken 7 a return to more defined walls, something that allows combos to be more consistent, because, you know, when you get a wall splat in Tekken Tag 2, it's kind of like a gamble. Unless you get like a flat, you know, no walls, no curves at all, like in the Italy stage, there's a chance that the combo may just get a little wacky because, well, you know, the walls are just so weird. You know, it's hard to get a consistent combo at walls sometimes in Tekken Tag 2. So yeah, better defined walls, something this Namco should work on. Number 6 is something that Injustice introduced, which I really liked, and I'm personally not a big fan of Injustice, but the training mode data for Injustice was great, so I would definitely have to say Tekken should include in-game frame data. The in-game frame data was a really cool addition to Injustice, so that you don't have to test out moves, so you can see exactly what's unsafe and what's safe, what's plus frames, what's not plus frames, how negative something is. It was a really useful tool to figure out what moves are useful in a move list, and what moves are not so useful, and what moves could be used for what, and what moves are risky, etc, etc, etc. And I feel this could overall go with the overall theme of the game becoming more accessible, because with in-game frame data, you could allow people to understand how to use frames, and therefore they could, you know, learn the game and enjoy it more and play it more, because it just, you know, they learn the game easier. It's as simple as that, and I think Injustice did a really good job with that. Neverwinter? No, it's not Neverwinter. NetherRealm Studios. There we go. Did a great job with that. Although, as I recall, I did have the Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3's Prima Fighting Guide, and they did give the frame data in that. Now, maybe Namco won't do that because they want to make money off the, the guidebook, which they may do. But I would just say, I think it would help everybody. Overall, it'd be a better, move in the long run if they included frame data in the move list of all the characters. Now we're moving to more aesthetic stuff. So number 7 is more character interaction. Now, this is something that has never been a real big staple of the Tekken series, but has been more of a staple of Namco's Tekken's sister series, Soul Calibur. Usually in Tekken, you have your little character intro, and then they just say, hey, let's fight, or whatever, let's fight. It's nothing really crazy, but I would like to see it where, two characters meet each other, and then they have some kind of, connection to the storyline, and they say some kind of funny line. It's a very small thing, but hey, it makes the game feel more polished, because it's that little thing that makes the game feel like, hey, that's funny, and like, Namco put that in, that's great, I like that. It makes the game have a more generally, I like this game kind of feeling to it, a more positive feeling to it. Like, let's say in Marvel 3, if you have Magneto on point, and then you put him against Wolverine on point, Magneto will say something about like, oh, don't make me take the adamantium out of your bones again, or whatever. Or like, you have Nemesis, and then you put him against like Jill or Chris, and then he'll say stars. That's cool, it's cool that they have things like that. And I feel like Tekken Tag 2 and Tekken 6 even kind of lacked that. In Tekken Tag 2, if you put two characters specifically together, they'll say a couple things, like, if you put Forest Law and Martial Law, Forest Law will say, like, oh, watch this, Dad, or, like, whatever, like, look how cool I am, Dad, or something like that. And then you have Wang in Jinpachi. Jinpachi will say, like, let's do this, old buddy. It's stuff like that that's kind of cool, but I feel that they could expand upon that. More character interaction, even in, like, win poses and whatever. Maybe that's not Namco style, but I feel like it would be a cool addition to the series because we don't really know much about the characters outside of their endings. So, and prologues, of course. So it would be cool to see more of their personality, because we don't really know how the characters would, like, talk, really, for the most part, unless you're, like, someone who's in the storyline for, like, major pieces, like Jin, Xiaoyu, Kazuya. We know how they would talk to, like, how Heihachi would talk to Jin, or Jin would talk to Kazuya. But we don't know how Law would talk to Jin, or like whatever, so I feel like Namco could if they could put in more character interaction, it would just be really cool. Speaking of more character interaction, number 8, I'm gonna talk about, let's say, better character customization. Now, a lot like Soul Calibur, which I just mentioned previously, we know that Namco is capable of like some crazy character customization stuff. Now in Tekken 5 and Tekken 6 you had a little bit of that, nothing really too crazy though, but with the level of customization you could do in Soul Calibur 5, I feel like Namco should definitely incorporate that into Tekken 7, and it would be really cool to see, see what people come up with. I have to say, I'm not really sure about whether we should include, or not we, but rather Namco should include custom characters, because Tekken characters are really, well defined by their fighting styles and whatever. So I'm not sure if Namco should include custom characters. Maybe not, maybe so, because if you include custom characters, 6 out of 10 times rather, you're gonna see custom characters online instead of the real characters. So it kind of takes away from, the original characters, which is something they let slide in Soul Calibur, but in Soul Calibur you kind of had a more, a more loosely defined original characters, like, oh, it's a big dude with a big sword. Well, you can make, like, an anime looking character with a big sword, and there you go. But I mean, in Tekken, it's like martial arts, so it's more defined, more like centric to the character. So it would be a little bit weird to see custom characters running around using martial arts. Although we don't know, because you never know what it's going to look like, because Namco may or may not do it. I don't think they're going to do it, but I definitely think they should beef up the character creation system, character customization system to the same level of it was in Soul Calibur 5. I would like to see them actually put in character custom characters just so I could see what it would look like. Although I do know that not everybody would be happy with it. Although there of course will be people who would be happy with it. If it's not in, fine. If it's, I mean, all I ask is that Namco, increase the depth of the character customization. Now they're moving to something that's kind of small, but something that's kind of like a small tidbit for me. Is online, more specific online rank information, because when I'm playing ranked online in Tekken Tag 2, it's kind of really ambiguous whether I'm going to rank up or get demoted on the next match. Like League of Legends, you have this point system, where if you reach maximum number of points, then you need to win a set number, X number of matches in order to rank up. And if you get low number, like 0 points, and you need to lose a set amount of matches to be demoted. Tekken doesn't have a system like that. It has some kind of algorithm that they keep hidden. And I feel like it would just be really, really useful if we could just see like a point system, so I could see like, oh, I only need to win 2 more matches to rank up, or it's like I only need to, oh nap, I'm gonna get demoted if I lose this match. It's just very small, but hey, I would really like to see it, because why not, right? Come on, Namco, just put that in. It's super simple. It's super simple. And finally, the last thing is something that is also kind of small, but something I really enjoyed was, can we see more Tekken minigames again, like Tekken Force and Tekken Ball and even Tekken Bowling? Because those were fun. I mean, they're not around so much anymore. Tekken Force is around, but they could do it better. They could do it way better. They just need to find a beat-em-up game and copy the system, and put it in Tekken. It's so simple. Because Scenario Campaign was cool, but it could be better. It could be way better, because the controls are so funky. I feel like Namco could, do some really cool things with Scenario Campaign. They could make like custom campaigns for every character. It would be really cool to see like their own journey, because when you play arcade mode with like, I don't know, like Lei, and he just beats up random people, and then all of a sudden he's the king of Iron Fist. Like, okay, whatever, Lei just beat people up, arcade mode, nothing really special. But if they made like a legit storyline mode, like let's say if you played Soul Calibur 3, you would know that every character's story mode was unique, that everybody had their own path, and everybody fought certain characters at certain points, and they traveled all over the world doing certain things that were, central to their specific storyline. So if we could see that in Tekken, that would be really cool, I feel. Really, really cool. That's just, a suggestion for Tekken Force. And of course, Tekken Volleyball, Tekken Ball, whatever you want to call it, was really, really fun in Tekken Tag 2 Wii U. I don't have a Wii U, but I saw it, and it looked really fun. I wanted to play it. And if you had Tekken Ball with online, that would be so cool. It'd be like a whole new meta, whole new game. Just Namco needs to include that, and, just be golden. It would just be golden. And there's Tekken Bowling from Tekken Tag 1. That could be cool, too. But it's just bowling. I mean, that one is kind of nothing really too special because it's just bowling in Tekken. So, yeah. And part of the whole, like, story mode kind of thing, you could add, like, how can I say this? Like, I don't know, character rivals. Because I remember in Tekken 5, when you played story mode, you fought your rivals sometimes, like Law would fight Paul, and etc. It's like, Namco could do a billion things with that, they just could improve it. They could really, really improve it so much. Yeah, that's pretty much all I have to think that what new features and better features that they could include in Tekken 7. Now, notice I didn't talk a lot about character buffs and character nerfs. It's because I think Tekken is a relatively balanced game, or rather a well-balanced game. Mostly everybody is around A and B tier. Almost everybody. There are very few characters who are at the bottom, like Dr. B, or Bears, or Angel. They're kind of like in the lower tier. But hey, they can still be useful. They can still be a threat. So that's why I feel like the balance is kind of good where it is, although they could always balance it more so that everybody kind of sits in A tier. Nobody really sits in like F tier, or nobody sits in S tier. Because, people like, let's say Armor King is super freaking good. So I expect him to be nerfed in the next game, but not too much, You don't want to nerf someone too hard, you don't want to buff someone too hard, or it'll end up like League of Legends where like the OP character is like every other week. Keep switching back and forth. So yeah, I mean, the balance thing is like a whole nother like issue. That's not really part of this video. It's like a whole nother video that we could talk about. characters who I could see buff and characters who I would like to see nerfed. That's just my opinion, and I'll probably save that for. I'm gonna save that for another video. So hope you guys enjoyed this. Leave in the comments what you think Tekken 7 should have, and thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys later.